Hey guys, welcome to Pillbox Movies. I'm Hank, and today we're going to be watching the 2019 film Beanpole. This is a Russian World War II drama directed by Kantemir Balagov. Before this, Balagov was probably best known for his 2017 film Closeness, which we'll probably be checking out in the future on this channel. I don't really know that much about Beanpole, except that it's purportedly about two women trying to survive and navigate in the aftermaths of World War II in Stalingrad? In Leningrad, not in Stalingrad. My personal experience with Beanpole, it was a movie that I wanted to watch in 2019, and I kept trying to organize a viewing with friends, and it just kept on, getting delayed, and finally we got delayed to the point of 2020, and the apocalypse happened. So, I guess the only opportunity I have to watch it now is alone in my apartment in the dark at 2 a.m. in the morning. Who knew we'd arrive at such a point? I did. I knew that this would eventually be the means by which I watch this movie. Yeah, whatever. Let's watch Beanpole. Kino Lordberg selection. Take that criterion. You can't have this one. For now. I wonder if I should be watching two Russianish films in a row. I just recently watched Stalker, and so I don't know if this is bending me in a certain direction. I gotta vary up my movie selections just a little bit. Leningrad, the first autumn after the war. I debated watching Trouble Every Day, the Claire Denis 2001 film, but I was worried it might suck in some vague way that I wouldn't like. Okay, she seems to be having respiratory problems, perhaps suffering some sort of post-traumatic distress. I guess she's called Beanpole, given her height. Maybe I'm watching too many movies that deal specifically in drama. I think maybe I'm watching too many films specifically about trauma. Narrator voice, all movies are about trauma. Yeah, I get that. We stand a tall queen, by the way. I'm guessing this will basically run the same emotional gamut as the Netflix film Tall Girl. That's my prediction. So I guess just a quick history lesson, I guess. Just as a little point of information, Leningrad was a point of contention between Germany and Russia over the course of World War II, so definitely a place where many casualties were suffered. The Finnish army and German army held the city under siege for 872 days, approximately 2.5 years, with casualties amounting to 3.5 million on the Russian side from starvation or freezing. Yeah, just a terrible atrocity. Is he born with some defects? Okay, just gonna earmark this for later. Does every single war movie have to look like Come and See or Son of Saul? Do we really need to have these kind of tight tracking compositions? Whatever. That's just my bias speaking. That's nice of him to say. Violets commonly associated with bisexuality or homosexuality. Something to tag for later. For lesbians specifically. Based on the poems of Sappho, Greek poet. Okay, so that might be some very specific cluing in. I do wonder kind of logistically how you put out a casting notice for a child with some sort of growth deformity. I guess in the same way that you call for, handicapped men to portray soldiers with war wounds. They're all beholden to the little prince.
Что, не видел собачку? Ну как она делает? Где он тут мог видеть собаку? Всех пожрали.
Yeah, that's fair. Nice costume design choices, by the way. Just a little splattering of red in this kind of otherwise like neutral or septic or antiseptic tones. And a nice contrast of red and the green that his mother wears. I'm like wondering also about this like very, very warm kind of halogen lighting. Like it's definitely a choice, but I don't see it that much. Yellow tinged filmmaking. We should always be worried seeing a child in a war film. It presents predicament. Russians are a lot more liberal with their child actors than we would be in the US. Oh, is he having breathing problems? Oh, does he have asthma? Oh no. Oh, is she having the trouble? Is she having a panic attack? Is she smothering her child? Yo, they just like went and showed that in a film. I don't really know how to feel about it. I mean, it's like terrible to witness, obviously, but it's also like it's so horrendous and it's so early in the film. It's kind of like if you guys have seen the 2017 film The Nightingale, where it kind of like overwhelms you with something that's like so shocking that and so early on that it might endure you from the rest of the film. It's a delicate balance. I'll just say for my taste right now, that might have been like just a little bit too much, where it was like so early on that I'm like resistant to it. It makes me distrust the filmmakers a little bit. She's like going through something right now. Perhaps just be a little bit delicate. I'd be so worried as an actor trying to keep that candle going, or that lighter going. She's exuding nervous lesbian energy. Yeah. Caught her at a bad time, unfortunately. It's not always you. You're not always the cause of conflict. You just happen to catch her at a bad time.
Я куда на нем поеду? Мне бы игрушки, я же к сыну еду. Маманю пошел. Еще пленки, как папань.
Really bad timing. Really, really bad timing. Really, really bad circumstances to be in. I like really want to have like a stronger and more like relatable reaction to this right now. But I've just been like so like shocked by the scene of infanticide that I like can't react normally right now. I like don't know why that would be like her first intuition, but I mean in some ways it seems reasonable. They've just gone through so much hardship and so much strife that she would immediately kind of like go to the worst case scenario.
Я виноватая к тебе.
I mean, she can. I mean, it wasn't your fault, but yes, she can. She doesn't know that, but yes, she can.
Барышня, добрый вечер. А что так поздно, а вы одни?
Dudes be like this in all circumstances, at all times, war times or not.
Куда вам нужно? Барышня. Барышня.
This is just a movie of like really bad timing. Everybody just has really, really, really bad timing in this movie.
Закрыто.
I like how severe her features are made by the lack of eyebrows. Just like emphasis entirely put on those deep, dark pits of eyes. You know what this yellow lighting reminds me of? Other than, I guess, Zodiac? Rounders. This is definitely the aesthetic they went for New York, too. In that movie.
Вы еще не передумали?
Any other yellow movies you guys can recall? List them down in the comments down below.
Иди.
Weird power dynamics these two will have to undergo to repair their relationship. If it can be repaired. But, yeah. Masha, I guess? Masha is, playing a strong, power shift against her to kind of resolve this tension between them.
Yes, sir.
I wonder how many sex scenes I've gone through in this channel. I'm like full on too. I don't know. I can only think of 3 right now, but this will be 4. 4. I can think of a 4th one. Yeah, I think I can only think of 4. Oh, 5. Maybe 5. Oh, 6. This director's definitely a fan of long takes. Thank you is definitely one of those things that when you're a guy in your mind makes total sense to say. When you hear it from an outside point of view, it's a little weird.
What?
I think I really wish I had seen this movie with my friends. I think it would have made for an interesting communal experience in terms of the history of the movies we have seen together. It's a Marvel movie origin. She's the Incredible Hulk. I've seen worse. I've had to censor worse. Somebody had a cesarean? I wonder if they had to shave their eyebrows for this movie. That would suck if they did. I mean, it's not the biggest cost in the world, but maybe a bullet wound then? Look how tall she is. Her shoulder isn't even in frame. Hopefully nothing important happens during this scene. Otherwise, I'm just gonna have to, like, edit it out so much for the benefit of interesting dialogue.
Тебе не болит больше? Не надо было с ними. Не надо было. Человека внутри хочу.
We're keeping that. That seems like primary motivator.
Дитя хочу.
In some ways, Masha to me is like the serious movie version of a manic pixie dream girl. In that way, she's not really a dream girl, but you know, she's very quirky. She has her own very specific desires and wants that also may tie in to a degree with hypersexuality, but it's born out of such tremendous trauma and intense pathology that it makes you question whether the manic pixie dream girl archetype really is made for just for male desire and consumption, or if it's perhaps an expression of a deeper kind of female anxiety.
Дылду комиссовали после контузии, а я осталась и на Берлин.
And she just says all of this with a straight face and a smile. Да. What a weird spot to be put in.
Да.
Okay, this is why as a dude you do not dispense like judgment and advice to women you have no interpersonal knowledge of. If you ever want an example as a man of when you should shut your mouth, that is a good one. I do like that essentially all these people like really like Beanpole. And she's like treated well at work and respected and admired. But it is like a really interesting dynamic that Beanpole's like really well liked at work, but also has this like incredibly contentious relationship with her best friend at home. Out here in the fields, I fought for my meals. I put my back into my living. I do like, as a side note, how there's so much activity that's maintained within this scene. You usually expect these kind of scenes to play out in like really intimate, dramatic terms, and with a focus on the intimacy and the emotion of their conversation. But the way this is framed, it's kind of like these kind of stories and these kind of tragedies are happening at a massive scale, on a citywide scale, so nobody has time to stop and appreciate anybody's specific trauma. That everybody's in the process of trying to survive. I like her Hulk stare. That's pretty funny. You know what? This movie's got a bit of a sense of humor. I'll give it that. Is she like me? Is she just like sweating on the day? Are the lights just too much for her? I get it. When I have to wear more than one layer of costuming on a set, I will sweat up a storm. I'm interested to know what's causing these like nosebleeds. Anemia? Complications caused by the cesarean? I guess that's why she was sweating. Not just that she can't deal with set lighting. It's been like a couple days. Girl, calm down. Oh no. This guy doesn't know how to deliver news at all. Just absolutely no bedside manner whatsoever. Russian doctors do be like that, though. Oh, she's gonna smother him to death. That's the only thing that can be expected of one of these kind of like sad dramatic movies.
Выпьешь тогда насовсем. Все одно я уже не человек. Вот она. Все.
I wonder for him if this is like an ethical question. I'm sure it is, but if this is an ethical question or like a question of resources. It's kind of difficult to say on this kind of like very this like very micro level, because he's definitely dealing with like so many atrocities already. It's kind of difficult to place where his value systems would lie under these circumstances.
Давай возьмем ничейного. Из сирот. Мне нужен целый. Там есть с руками и с ногами. И не все дурные. Дылда.
I don't want to go so far as to say that this movie is a bit grimdark. It's okay to have grimdark movies. A lot of the greatest movies ever made are at least to a point grimdark. I just want to say, to a certain degree, it's very hard to manage your audience's expectations and apply them for emotional depth when you strictly go for a grimdark. But, you know, one of my favorite filmmakers, Robert Bresson, obviously navigates these treacherous waters with ease. Once again, playing on the power dynamic very intensely. Like, this is a requirement she has of her friend in order to kind of forgive her. Like, realistically, this isn't something that you'd ask of your friend if it's not something that they want. This is a heavy ask. And so, like, I don't doubt that she doesn't intensely want a child. In more ways, this is about pushing the limits on her friend and making demands she can't meet in order to kind of reset the clock on your loyalty or your ability to like forgive your partner, or to see them as like not as a human being, as somebody trustworthy again. Is she a virgin? Not that that's important, but it's just like something that would be a plot development in this.
Моего ребенка не сохранила. Теперь родишь мне нового.
This is like my mind trailing off to weird places again. So if Beanpole's the Incredible Hulk, this movie is actually like a dark turn on the relationship between Natalia and the Incredible Hulk. This is a dark Black Widow story. And also, as with Natasha, and Natasha is barren in the MCU. We're finding all sorts of connections. Oh my god, I'm gonna get flamed so hard. I might as well make a thumbnail saying that this is the dark MCU. In terms of kind of stratified or varied value systems being presented, I want to say that though this movie is presenting kind of insufficient healthcare, people's needs aren't being treated to the degree that they need them to be. This is also portraying kind of free or easily dispensed healthcare in comparison to systems we may have as Americans. Just a point of comparison. In wartime, people understand that healthcare is a basic tenet of human life that must be given to everybody. Not something we've come to understand in the US over the course of a nearly year-long pandemic, with rising cases and not much containment. Okay, so he just didn't want to do it himself. Everybody's putting Beanpole to task with very, very difficult ultimatums. And now we see uneven power dynamics played out between employer and employee. Just give it to his wife. It's definitely an awkward spot to be in. The guy who flirts with you, tells you he's gonna, you know, marry you when he recovers, and now you're putting a sedative in his mouth and putting him down for good. This is an interesting directorial choice. I think it's a cool idea to put this on Stefan's face, and we kind of see him go through the course of actually dying in front of us. I actually personally would have wanted this a little bit more focused on Ilya, because she is the protagonist of this, and we kind of need to see what her emotional journey is, making these very important decisions over the course of the film. So while it's like a cool trick to see a man that we sympathize and care for die in front of us on camera, personally, I think this scene should be more about the emotional journey of Ilya, of Beanpole. Because, like, I don't know, to a certain degree, if we're like an empathetic, caring audience, like, we already kind of know that a human death is going to be like a difficult thing to process and watch on screen. We don't need to like necessarily see it in action to realize the sensitivity and the emotion of the experience. At least not in this case. This, I think, is a good compromise, though, showing her in her final moments with him as being one of palliative care, that she is primatizing his comfort in his last moments over anything that she's specifically feeling. I watch a lot of movies and think very, very deeply about like healthcare, about human rights to care and to decency in film, because it's an important thing that we don't usually think of as like a forefront subject of debate or contemplation in films, unless we're watching something like The Sea Inside or Amour, things that are like putting on the forefront that this is like, these are healthcare issues that we should care about. But it, in very wide and deep resounding ways, healthcare is an issue that is contemplated in a lot of films, either conscientiously or subconsciously, because in some ways healthcare is representative of is metaphorical for the value of human life, and that is something we contemplate in every film.
Что это? Скоро Новый год, и я подумал, может, вы захотите.
Boys will be boys, but you're not like the other ones. You'll get him next time, Tiger.
Лучше больше фруктов приносить. Хорошо? Спички.
Ask Reddit, is it genuine or not? Oh no.
Товарищи, а пойдемте танцевать?
She kind of looks like Celia Keenan-Bolger. A lot of head acting in this movie. a lot of navigating.
Можно вас? Да. Пашка, это был мой сын. Фронтовой ребенок. Отца его убили, и я осталась мстить.
This doesn't seem like workplace appropriate conversation.
Когда ее комиссовали после замирания. Но это ничего. У меня скоро будет новый.
Вы не можете.
А мне долго родит. Она же мне должна.
I'd report this to HR. This seems like
От кого?
an abuse. Oh no. Worst threesome ever.
Ну уж вам-то я точно ничего не должен.
You know, usually a guy'd love this kind of ratio, but worst threesome ever. Everybody's work party dream turned into a nightmare.
Не уходи. Не уходи, а то не будет.
And this is a subtle means by which I guess Beanpole can reclaim a little bit of her, I don't know what to call it, a little bit of her. She's reclaiming her boundaries with Masha a bit, stating her needs, making herself apparent as like a real person whose needs Masha needs to respect to a certain degree. In an odd way, this is making them grow closer under dysfunctional circumstances, but repairing or reconstructing some degree of intimacy in their relationship. Just like what? I just gotta get my dick sucked. And I don't know who you think you're talking to, but I ain't him, I ain't Slim, so watch what you do, or you will find yourself buried next to someone else, and we all thought you loved yourself. But that couldn't have been the issue, or maybe they just saying that now because they miss you.
Там насмешил, иди убирай.
Yeah, I kind of feel this way around my extroverted friends. Sometimes it's cool. Sometimes you throw up. After watching a movie with people like dry heaving and forcing themselves to vomit IRL,
Принеси тряпку на кухне зеленая.
it's like such a baby's first vomit to see people do the old, like, you know, upchuck in their mouth trick in movies. You know, I just got a little bit of split pea soup in my mouth, and I'm just gonna wait for the right time to just spit out that little amount. Girl, that baby's not gonna make you happy. You know what will make you happy? Reforging your relationship with your friend.
Чего надо? Примеришь на себя? Так, руку подними.
Greeted red, repeated theme of the costuming.
Так, теперь все. Снимай.
А можно я покружусь? Покружусь.
A whole new world. A dazzling place I never knew. But now from way up here, it's crystal clear. And now I'm in a whole new world with you. Unbelievable sky, indescribable feeling, soaring, tumbling, freewheeling in that endless diamond sky, a whole new. And then you'd had to go and spoil it all by doing something crazy like twirling too much. This is me at a buffet. Well, I've been afraid of changing 'cause I built my life around you. I really like how awkward this is, genuinely. For one reason or another, I'm like not, you know, it just might be the circumstances in which I'm watching it. I'm not as like attached to the emotional arc of these characters, but the awkwardness I relate to. One hundo.
Зачем тебе ребеночек?
Хочу стать ей хозяйкой.
Power dynamic.
Должна.
I really wonder what that means in the original Russian. I don't know if any like subtlety has been lost in translation, but that seems like a term that requires a lot of sophistication and context. Ladies, how do you keep your hair perfect like that? How do you get it? How she get it? How she kept it like so well managed underneath her ear? What do you do for that? You gotta stop smiling like that, girl. That means nothing to me at this point. That is a Regina King smile. Regina King? Not Regina King. Regina George, sorry.
Воевали. И прямо с фронта сразу.
I like don't love this camera distance for this scene. I get that it's meant to convey like the chilliness of the family. This is a place where I would just prefer an opportunity to see acting over seeing an interesting concept. She looks really pretty in this scene. Not that she didn't look pretty before, but she looks psycho. I think it's the bouquet that's making her look really pretty in this scene. They really opened up the cinematography for this section.
Он полакомится тобой, как конфеткой.
It's a weird thing to say about your son.
Головой. Хочу другую. Выбросить тебя на помойку.
This is kind of like pivoting on like,
Да это еще ладно.
you know, like
Главное, он ведь...
conclusion not found in evidence. They've really not built up his character to be anything like this in the rest of the movie. So it's a little bit weird to introduce this kind of like tension to his character so late in the game.
Александр, дверь закрой.
Eat the rich. I mean, like, it's weird to see that kind of I don't know how the upper class will kind of attempt to insulate itself from any sort of intrusion and pollution to the degree that it will allow itself to die rather than be miscegenated upon in any way. I hope it doesn't have a violent ending, like a needlessly violent ending. It's very, Anna Karenina. I don't know if it was given any kind of, any foreshadowing. Like, it seems like a very public way for Beanpole to try and kill herself. Which I don't know if I would totally associate with her personality. Okay, so that was literally like a last-minute swerve. We don't usually love that for movies, but we'll give it a pass. She realized that she actually cares about her friend, that's fine.
F-I-E-N-D-S. We're just friends. So don't go look at me with that look in your
We don't usually love when character revelations come from such, like, from actions so outside of their own kind of emotional and internal engine. Like, they should work to arrive at these realizations themselves to a degree. But this is a movie with two very inert characters, two very like stubborn and unwilling to. Masha is unwilling to change. Beanpole, in some ways, as a character, is unable to change. So I guess it's fine that we have this come from external circumstances.
Напрасное внутри.
I feel that. I feel it in my fingers. I feel it to my bones. Christmas is all around us. So why don't you let it snow?
Платье кровью делала. Портниха нас убьет. Может, его застирать, попробовать.
Who am I?
Я напрасно.
Is that a tear or is she bleeding? Yeah, she was bleeding. I copped that.
Дай мне руку. Я только с вами рядом теперь. Ты родишь, обязательно вырастет мальчишка. Мы его воспитаем, потом я пойду учиться, будем ходить в кино и он нас вылечит. Чувствуешь? Чувствуешь?
Okay. Yeah. That's interesting. I think it's a really well-made movie, and obviously very powerful in some aspects. I think it plays on like kind of like a kind of relational archetype that I don't really experience in my life too much. So yeah, I think it was really well made and well executed. I think it kind of like tipped the hat on the grimdark a bit too much for me. And speaking as somebody who has a tolerance for slowly shot movies with like really long takes, I think this one pushed my buttons a little bit too much with the long takes. And yeah, I can't wait to text my friends and ask them what really stood out about this movie for them, because they loved this. They overwhelmingly recommended it. I really wish we had seen it together in a movie theater. I wonder what we would have like said coming out of it, because we have been running this this pattern, this group of me and two other people of seeing movies, and we all always end up disagreeing. Two people end up liking it, one person ends up hating it, and sometimes I fall into the hating it camp a little bit too much. That's my B, but whatever. I really liked Black Klansman. I'll give it up for Spike Lee. Yeah, that was Beanpole. If you enjoyed this video, click the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. I'll leave a comment down below if you've seen Beanpole, if you loved it, or if you hated it, or if you just have recommendations of other movies you think I should watch. In the meantime, keep watching good movies.
And here comes this guy
spends his life avoiding the fight because he knows he'll win.
Sounds amazing.
He's also a huge dork. Chicks dig that. So what do you think? Should I fight this or run with it?
Run with it, right? Or what did he do that was so wrong to you?